Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Twitter, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. I'm so excited you decided to spend a little bit of time with me this evening on this video. I'm going to be sharing a few of my bulletin board and design ideas for March. I'm starting to look ahead and think ahead to what I want to do next month, and a lot of that takes pre-planning that I want to do in this week. And so I wanted to share about some of that with you now tonight. I'm also going to talk through one of my new favorite books and a lesson idea for Leprechaun season for March. Again, something that you might want to think about now so that you're planned and ready when March rolls around, which is very, 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 very soon. And then also, I'm going to be sharing, if we can get to it, my time check-in on my first grade lessons. Usually in these videos, I do a quick recap of all of my kindergarten through 5th grade lessons, but I shared about those lessons 2 weeks ago, and because I had last week off and some other things, those lessons haven't changed, so I could reshare about those exact same things, or I could just share some new content with you. And now this was a great time to look forward to March. So much happens in March that it's good to think about some of that stuff now so you can start planning if you want and prepare for what happens in March. So I'm going to get to all of that in just a second. Quick recap. If you have any questions about the links or ideas or lessons or books or whatever I talk about in this video, you can check out my links page. If you're on Facebook, at the bottom of the caption for the video, you can find a link to the links page. It's on my blog, makemomentsmatter.org/video. Or if you're on Instagram, click my link in profile and there should be a thing that says Musical Mondays Recap, and you can click the links to go to that link page. But I try and the book and the resources, everything I talk about, is going to be on that links page. So if you have questions, you can check that out. Also, if you have questions, join my Facebook group. It's called Every Moment Matters, Music Education Community. And a lot of fun stuff gets talked about there every week. And you can get ideas and you can ask questions and hopefully join in a community and get some good feedback. So that's there on Facebook if you want it. Okay, so like I said, a lot happens in March, and so let's think about what happens in March. March is Music in Our Schools Month, which is a NAFME, National Association for Music Education. It's a big drive for NAFME, so to try and get people thinking about and advocating for music education, that happens in March. March is Women's History Month, and so I like to try and do a big feature on female musicians and female composers, female performers, and just I like to do that, and that takes a little bit of planning and thought. Also, it's St. Patrick's Day month, and so all month long my kids are like wearing green and pinching and thinking about that, and so I like to have those things sort of planned out. So I wanted to share just a couple things that I'm doing to spruce up my room and spruce up my bulletin boards for March, because that's something that I like to prepare and get set to put up at the end of this week so that it's all set for next month. So one of the things that I am so excited about is outside my door. My hallway is so boring, and all of the kids in my school walk through my hallway, and I'm right across from the iPad teacher, and I'm across from the art teacher, and I'm next to the computer labs, and so I want to do something to draw attention to my classroom and my door, so when kids walk in, they're smiling and having fun. And so something I did this year, it's something I knew that I've tried this year, is I took clip art of musical stuff. So I found this fun clip art set of cartoon musical instruments and musical things, and I sort of arranged it and made it so I could make it look like those things are like exploding out of the music room, like they're jumping out from behind the door. And here I'll show you in just a second, but I was able to do that, and it was so much fun, and it drew so much attention from kids that I decided I wanted to be able to share it on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I got a little carried away because I made a bunch of different sets for options, but I wanted to show you sort of how I did it. So basically what I did was I set up the poster so that, well, here, I'll show you a colorful one. So basically what it looks like is it looks like the instrument is popping out like from behind something. So if you can imagine this next to the side of a door, this lines one side of the door. So here's the door, my hand is the door, and the ukulele is just popping out, jumping out from behind, right? So I wanted to have something colorful and bright and exciting that would jump out from the door. So I made these sets, and I have all of the things so they look like they're coming out, but I had to figure out how am I going to like like actually execute that on the door. And so let me see if I've got a picture here of what the door looked like before. So let me zoom in here. So what I did basically was I used my closet door and I printed out all, sorry Instagram. I printed out all of the images there. Sorry Instagram, it's sort of hard to see. I printed out all the images and I sort of lined them up around the door like the way that I thought I might want to use it. And so then I just sort of like moved things up or down to sort of get the arrangement that I really wanted before I actually like printed everything in color, because there were some things that like I put in the set, but then I was like, I don't know if I'm going to use that or not. So I printed them out there in black and white, and I just took some Scotch tape and taped them up, got them in the order I want, and then once I got the ones I wanted, I figured out how I was going to do it. I took a picture so I wouldn't forget, and then I went and I printed in color, I printed on cardstock, I laminated, and I cut it all out, and it ended up looking like this, so that it looks like instruments are just shooting out the door, and I put the letters music on top, and I actually have another set that has like the letter MUSIC on the door itself in little colorful circles. And it's just so exciting because it looks like those instruments are just popping out from inside the room. So here, let me just show you what it looks like if you were to get it and try it out. Let me see. Because I got things printed out. So the version I did was these sort of cartoon instruments, but I got a little carried away and I did some other ones too. So if you were going to do it, like here's one of orchestral instruments. So I would take all the ones that I wanted and I'd print them out, and then I would use Scotch tape to just pop them up there on the door to see like how they fit. Because some of these, like the tuba, if you imagine when you cut out of the tuba, you could maybe fit like another one. No, that wouldn't work so well. But the trumpet, see, you could cut the white part off the top of the trumpet and then sort of mesh these two together, if that makes sense. But I can't really like make that on the page without cutting one off. So I gave each one its own page so that then you could sort of meld and put together however you wanted. So I would print these out and I would tape these up to sort of see how they fit together, and then maybe if we like do the same thing with the violin, right? So like there's this extra white space that you can cut around and cut on the top so it would fit. So like here's an example. I did another set with these fun watercolor instruments. So like, let's say you have a trumpet here. Ooh, gotta get a different side. Let's find an example of that one. The French horn is not gonna work very well. Okay, so let's say you've got this violin here, right, and you want to use some extra dead space. So what you could do is, like, I cut out the tuba so that it would maybe like fit together, if that makes sense. So you can sort of push them in the same space. Now this is from a different set, so it's a different size and stuff. But if you imagine the violin and like another tuba would work. So then what I did was I would print them out, I'd laminate them, and then I cut around like this so I could fit a bunch of them together. And what I really love about it is it's really colorful and there are different options. So like I did a whole set of ukuleles, so later on in the year I can just do ukulele, or if ukulele club is coming up, I can just change them out and use ukuleles instead. There are guitars you could do too that I did in that set, and banjos. I don't have a banjo. I wish I did. I also did one of classroom instruments, so at the beginning of next year, I'm going to replace this so it has xylophones and metallophones and like Weeros and stuff like that, so I could put that out to get kids excited. I did another one of like kids making music. So there's like a little kid playing an accordion, one playing a bass, and then there's one of kids dancing, things like that. But I wanted different options so that throughout the year I could change it, or if I wanted a different one year, I could do a different thing. So what I did was when I cut those out, I laminated them, I cut them out, and then I used just lots and lots of pieces of Scotch tape on the back, and they just fit right in. And if I were at a different school or a different place in the hall where they didn't get touched as much, I might do something else. But that has worked so far for me. And I make sure that I put lots of little pieces of Scotch tape around these edges that are going to get picked at so they don't get messed as much. Did I say Scotch tape? I meant masking tape. Sorry. Anyway, and then I put that up. But my favorite part is the iPad teacher who's right across the hall. And I have gotten really into Bitmojis this year. And so I have a little Bitmoji of me waving, and I have that peeking out from the window too, which is really fun. It fits right in with the colors and the cartoon. It's super easy. So if you do Bitmojis and you want to add this in with that, this is called Wave. Just type in Wave and it'll bring that up. Anyway, it's so much fun and it's exciting. Kids like it. They love seeing the colors. They think it's so much fun. And one thing to help you out, if you do decide to do this, so along the edge I put a long straight line here so that you can use a paper cutter to just cut that straight, and then it's just perfect on the edge of your door. And then you can cut around the edges of the rest to sort of make it fit. So like I said, I got carried away. I made like 6 different sets. I put them all on Teachers Pay Teachers. If you're interested, there's a link to that. You can just like see what's available and what's on there. But those are like it's my new favorite thing. And I think it's perfect for Music in Our Schools month. And anyway, I'm just sort of excited about it. Okay, so another thing I think about in March, and this is something I've been doing for years and years and years, is I like to celebrate Women's History Month, and that happens in March. And so what I did is I created this set a couple of years ago, and I've reused it every year. And I've got this little sheet that I put out. It's like an explanation for parents or administrators, whoever walks by, and it says Divas, 50 of the most influential female music makers. And it says, for many years, the word diva has been used to describe the best female singer in an opera company, but a diva can also describe any important female musician. It goes on to talk about women can be brilliant composers, pop stars, jazz musicians, opera singers, conductors, and more. The women you see featured in these profiles are the most influential musicians in their fields and have worked very hard to achieve their success. So I put that out. I put out a header that says Women of the Week. And then, like I said, there are 50 profiles in here. So I already have them, since I've done this for several years, I already know, like, I've got a week 3 set, I've got a week 2 set, I've got a week 4 set. And so in each of these weekly sets, I tried to get a pop star, an opera singer, a classical musician, a rock star, country artist, all different sorts of things, so that each week I had a full spectrum of different kinds of artists, musicians to highlight. So it says Women of the Week, and each week I switch them out. So in week 1, and this is what's going to be up next week for the first week of March, I've got Tina Turner, and it has so like a picture, her name, and then a quick bio about her. So there's Tina Turner, Lady Gaga, Jennifer Lopez, that'll be great because Super Bowl she just performed, Kathleen Battle, Nadia Boulanger, Janet Jackson, Adele, Jennifer Hudson's Upside Down, Ethel Merman, Maria Callas, Taylor Swift is Upside Down, and Nina Simone. So in that group of women, I hoped to have, like a rock star, a pop star, a Latin star, an opera singer, a conductor, and more and more and more pop stars, musical names, jazz. So like lots of different styles, different ethnicities. Let's see. Different eras. So I tried to just get a lot of mix in there. And so that's for week 1. And what you could do is you could print these out, and then you could tape up those clear sheet protectors. So like you'd put in a 3-ring binder where you can like put the paper in and out. So you could tape that to the wall, and then every week just slip in or slip out the new profiles. So it's 50 profiles. It doesn't work out so evenly. So I tried to get about 11 or 12 each week that I would highlight. Actually, more like 13. I can't remember how many are in each week. There's like one that's off. I think it's 12, 12, 12, and then whatever the extra is for the last week. But each week there's a different profile. So I try and change those out so that kids see new faces every week, and they see a lot of faces. They learn a lot of names. I remember in April of last year, one of my students walked in, and he said something about, gosh, I can't even remember who it was. I think he said something about Gunhild Capeman, and I was like, "How do you know that name?" He said Kate Man. I mean, that's how you'd pronounce it probably phonetically as a kid. He said Kate Man. I was like, "How do you know that name?" Like, she worked with Carl Orff. What? And he had seen it on the poster, and I had put it out there. And so it's so cool what kids see and remember. So I put those out there because March is Women's History Month, and I want students to see all different kinds of women doing all different kinds of things. And so, like I said, each week I change those out. You could put them all out for the whole month. That's just a lot of profiles. But like I said, I like to do like women of the week. You could also do 1 or 2 a day, and you could switch it out if you wanted, but that's a lot of work. Switching them out once a week is a lot of work, but it's worth it, and I love doing that. So like I said, I printed that out like 3 or 4 years ago, and just every year I put it up, but every year I get great comments from kids and families, and so I think it's worth it to have that out there. Okay, and one more thing, and this is going to lead into the lesson that I'm going to share. Another one that I printed out several years ago, but I still use, and like I said, my hallway is like the main hallway between classrooms and lunchrooms, so like it gets a lot of traffic, but it's also really long. And there are a couple computer labs on the hallway that, like, outside the room, there are a couple bulletin boards that are like dead space. So I take that space and I fill it up. And one of the things I put out in March is this set that says, let's see, thank your lucky clover for music. And it has that thank your lucky clover for music header. And then I've got all these posters, and they have little quotes on them. This one says, the only good luck many great men ever had was being born with the ability and determination to overcome bad luck. Channing Pollock. Okay, so that's just a statement about luck, right? When it comes to luck, you make your own. Bruce Springsteen. Okay, just another one about luck, but musician, right? When Lady Luck invites you to dance, let her choose the music. Helga von Funkelstein. Okay, another one just about luck, but music's involved, right? The luck of having talent is not enough. One must also have the talent for luck. Hector Berlioz. Oh, look at composer. Oh my gosh. So each one of them, good music always defeats bad luck. Jack Vance. So each one is either like music and luck related, or just about luck, but said by a musician or something like that. And so kids love them. They're colorful, they're bright, they're exciting. They stop, they look at them. And I love this one. The harder I work, the luckier I get. Samuel Goldwyn. So it's got all of those. Then around them, I've got these quarter notes and eighth notes that either have a pot of gold for the note head, or some of them have clovers, some of them have gold pieces. Yeah, they're little horseshoe ones for half notes. Anyway, I love putting these up because it gets kids, they're excited about St. Patrick's Day, then they see it's connected to music, they read some of the posters, they learn some of those names again. I think that's just super fun and good for them. And then also in the set I have this where you can print out and send home. It says, well, one side there's a big open space and it says, I'm lucky to have music in my life. And then the space is where they can draw something musical, they can draw what they like about music. I also have another set in there that has, I'm lucky to have music in my life, but it has lines for writing what they love about music or what they think is great, what the reasons they think they're lucky to have music. And so it becomes an interactive board, so I can have those posters, and then if I hand these out and kids take them home and bring them back, I put them up around. So it starts to have more and more and more and more pieces, and by the time it's done, it has, you know, hundreds of little responses from kids, and they like seeing their work up there, but then also they like that they're a part of it, and it just becomes a really fun interactive space where it is about luck and it is sort of about music, but then it becomes about what kids love about music, and so it's just super fun and interactive. So I love putting that up around the posters. But that leads to my lesson. So before I jump to that lesson about leprechauns, I'll just recap. So I talked about the new thing I did around my door this year, where the musical stuff is sort of jumping out. That's something you could do for Music in Our Schools Month. You could change it out through different parts of the year to get kids excited about different things, or you just leave it up all year long. That's what I've been doing so far. But it's just so much fun. I wanted to share about that. The Divas set that I talked about, that includes lots of different profiles of different famous female musicians throughout the years. That I'm using to highlight in March for Women's History Month. And then the I Thank Your Lucky Stars for Music set, which is sort of fun and interactive and luck and leprechaun themed, but doesn't really have to be. It could just be, helping why do kids think they love music. It could be just the posters you put up, but it could be the interactive part if you wanted. Okay, I found a book this year because I went down a rabbit hole on Amazon. Like On Amazon, I have like 6 or 7 different lists of all the books that I want, or the books that I love, or books that I think are great. And I've been able to make these idea lists with like all of these great books. So I did like a whole list of books for Hispanic Heritage Month, and I've shared about that before. And I did a whole list of books for Black History Month, and a whole list of books for just based on songs or whatever. Well, I found a couple books that I really loved by the same author illustrator. And so I started following her, and then I followed to see what else she had done, and then I found this book, and I was like, oh my god, I have to get it. So I got the book, and it fits so perfectly with one of my March lessons that I wanted to read it and share it with you. And it's only like $9 hardback, brand new, so like that's a steal. So anyway, I put the link to that if you're interested, but let me just read the book. It's a super fun book. It's called How to Trap a Leprechaun. And like I said, this is another thing I'm sharing now, not because it's like Leprechaun season, but because it's about to be, and if you want to get a book to use, you need a little time to plan that out and prepare ahead of time. So I have a Leprechaun lesson that usually shows up the week of St. Patrick's Day, but I use this as like I'm going to use this as sort of like a preview. So this will show up in the lesson before the Leprechaun lesson to like prime them, so that when we get to the Leprechaun lesson, they're like, oh my gosh, you just read about that. I'm like, I know. What perfect timing. Anyway, okay, so let me read you this book called How to Trap a Leprechaun, written by Sue Fleiss, Fliess, and illustrated by Emma Randall. Emma Randall's how I found the book, because I have a couple other books by her with her illustrations, and I love them. So that's how I found this book, by just searching her as an illustrator, and I came upon this one. Also, this, you already know it's going to be good. There's this little leprechaun like going shh and shushing the people, and then there's like color following him. Hilarious. Okay. Legend tells of tiny elves who visit once a year. They'll steal your treasures for themselves, then quickly disappear. Also, I love that illustration of the leprechaun with like the star glasses on, stealing all your stuff and running away with rainbows following him. I think that's hilarious. If you catch a leprechaun, he'll grant a wish, I'm told. But if he gets away, too bad. No wish, no luck, no gold. Poof. Small and full of trickery, they'll fool you if they can. Catching one takes smarts and skills, but most of all, a plan. Okay, again, I'm going to show you these illustrations. This one of the leprechaun, like the outline of a leprechaun with a dotted line up near his hat that says trickery level, and he's like full to his hat. I love that one. Okay, also, they'll fool you if they can. This little boy holding like a bird dressed in a leprechaun costume saying, I think I got him. Well, no, you didn't. Anyway, hilarious. Hilarious. But you have to have a plan. Okay. The night before St. Patrick's Day, the leprechauns appear. If you wish to capture one, you'll need the proper gear. First, you'll need to build a trap. One he can't escape. Grab a box, a bottle cap, some glitter, glue, and tape. Use gold paint to coat the rocks. He will think they're real. Scatter them inside the box, and he will come to steal. So, if you're listening to this on the podcast, the kids are taking rocks and they're painting them with gold paint. And they're hoping to trick the leprechaun into thinking it's gold. Obviously, that's going to work so well, right? Okay. Oh, and then the book flips. All right. Pour some glue inside the box and build a rainbow slide. He'll take a ride to find the gold, but find he's stuck inside. I love that they're giving him a rainbow slide to slide down. Like maybe the leprechaun's like, ooh, look at this wonderful slide. I'm going to take it. Leprechauns come out at night so they can sneak around. Now close the drapes and dim the light and wait without a sound. Here's the illustration of the leprechaun like going up the ladder, going down the rainbow slide. Did you hear that? Crinkle, snap. Quickly, check your snare. Shucks! He just escaped the trap. He could be anywhere. Poof! Look at this. He left a shoe, and in the shoe a note. tiny words addressed to you. And this is what he wrote. Dear children, thanks for the glitter and shiny gold rocks, but I can't be trapped by a cardboard box. Your tricks were quite clever. Your trap was so great, but it takes more than rainbows to seal my fate. Signed, Liam the Leprechaun. It's a shame he got away, but please don't shed a tear. Go enjoy St. Patrick's Day and try again next year. Okay, and then it gives, for parents and educators, build a leprechaun trap with your kids. Okay, I love it. It says for educators. Like, here's the actual way to build a leprechaun trap. No. Okay, also, I've been, like, every time I read this book, I'm like, I should probably, like try an accent for the leprechaun's note, and then I'm like, no. Because in my head, it doesn't go like, Dear children, thanks for the glitter and shiny gold rocks, but I can't be trapped by a cardboard box. Like, I don't hear that in my head. I hear, Dear children, thanks for the glitter and shiny gold rocks, but I can't be trapped by a cardboard box. Like, I don't know why, but like in my head, that is like the perfect voice. So, I read this book. I thought it was hilarious. I knew I had to include it. So, I got a copy. And like I said, it's like $9 on Amazon, brand new, hardback. So, super steal. And I have a link to that on the links page if you're interested. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this early on in March and like talk about like, oh my gosh, you know what? Mrs. Miller, I was talking, the kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Miller, you know, kindergarten, because this would be a kindergarten lesson. Kindergarten, you know, I was talking with Mrs. Miller, your teacher, and she said she had heard that there were leprechauns coming out again, because it's March, you know, and she said if we catch the leprechaun, we can get a wish, or like we can even get its gold. So like, how cool would that be? So I think maybe like be on the lookout for a leprechaun, right? And so like I prime them at the beginning of March. I've always done that, never with the book, but now this is like perfect fodder for that. So anyway, then in the week of St. Patrick's Day, when they come in for their music lesson, I have, I've done this a couple different ways. One time I took instruments and like scattered them around the room, and kids come in, they're like, what happened? I'm like, oh, let me tell you. Like sometimes I do it like that. Other times I've done it where like everything's fine, and then I bring them over. I'm like, oh, I have something to show you. I have something trapped. I've just got to show you. Sometimes I do it that way. Other times, I've done this like multiple ways, and it's always funny no matter what you do. Another time I'll bring them over and say, oh, I've got to tell you, the other day I came in and there were instruments thrown all around the room. This is probably the easiest version because it takes the least amount of setup. There were instruments thrown all around the room, kindergarten. Can you imagine that? It wasn't the nice, clean instruments put away room that we like to have. No, they were thrown everywhere. And I thought that maybe like a cat had come in and knocked them all around, or like a tornado had come in and blown instruments everywhere. And then I heard a sound. And the sound went, hee hee hee. And it was coming from one of the instrument boxes. And I snuck over to the box. And I got really close and I heard it again. Hee 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 hee. And then from inside the box I heard like there was sound coming from like there was something in the box. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I went over and I reached in and I grabbed it and I pulled it out and I brought it over. And so then I have like this little whiteboard and I like smack my hand into the whiteboard and I say, and I trapped him. And I roll the whiteboard around, and on one side is, I got at Dollar Tree a couple years ago, like a paper cutout of a leprechaun, like just like a decor thing. And it's really big actually. And so I put it in there, and then I have like green streamers, or you know, like the shiny garland you can also get at Dollar Tree, like across him, and like bars on top. Anyway, so I have him trapped, and I have this leprechaun that kids are like, oh my god, you caught the leprechaun. I'm like, yes, I did. I caught the leprechaun. And I went to him. I was so angry the other day. And also I explained that it is a magical leprechaun trap. That's why he's frozen inside. That's why he looks like he's like paper. Otherwise he'd be moving. Why isn't he moving around? So like that's my like trick of like, well, he's still real, but he's like magically trapped, which is why. Anyway, so because I've had kids ask that, Mr. Rao, why isn't he moving? Oh well, he's trapped by magic in the whiteboard. Anyway, so he's trapped on there, right? So the leprechaun is trapped, and so what I say is that I went to the leprechaun and I said, what were you doing? You're trying to take my instruments. That is so rude. These instruments, they belong to my students. Like, my students need these. Why would you take them? He goes, those are mine. Leave them alone. I took those. I got them fairly enough. And I said, no, you can't take those. They belong to my students. He's like, they belong to me. Do you know who I am? Do you know? And I said, I don't care who you are, Bob. I don't want you to take my students' instruments. And he went, Bob? Don't call me Bob. That's not me name. And then you can see I have him trapped in. So here you can see he's trapped inside. And he says, that's not me name. Me name is Seamus Cedric Daniel Patrick O'Blarney Stone. Call me by me real name. And I said, I don't know. That's a sort of a long, hard name to remember. But anyway, I can't call you that. Stanley. Anyway, I'm not going to remember. And he goes, Stanley, that's not me name. It's Seamus Cedric Daniel Patrick O'Blarney Stone. Which is a lot of names to remember. Anyway, so I was trying to figure out why, like, what was he doing in my instruments? And I kept trying to ask, like, hey, man, what are we doing in the instrument? Don't call me man. Call me Seamus Cedric Daniel Patrick O'Blarney Stone. Call me by me real name. I'm the king of the leprechauns in this district. You must remember to call me by me real name. And he was all worked up. I was trying to figure out what he was doing in the instruments. And then I went over and I looked in his bag, and he had a bunch of instruments in the bag. And the kids are like, he was going to take the instrument. Yeah, let me show you what he had in his bag. So I looked in his bag, and he had our finger cymbals. Why do you think he had our finger cymbals in his bag? And the kids are like, got it. He thought they were gold coins. I'm like, they do sort of look like gold coins, don't they? Oh my goodness. That is crazy. He was trying to take these, but they're not really gold coins. They're really finger cymbals, right? And when you play them, you let them wiggle and wobble, and then you go to make that beautiful sound. Or you could even like let one wiggle and wobble and use the other one like a striker and go like that to make a beautiful sound, right? We don't want to do like crazy like circus very beautiful sound. That would probably scare off leprechauns. But that makes a really beautiful sound, right? Yeah, finger cymbals. So in this lesson, I'm able to introduce a bunch of instruments like this, like by saying like, oh, look what else was in his bag, and then I pull out another thing, and then I talk about what it actually is and how you play it, because in a second we're going to do that. So that's like sort of front-loading them as we go into it. But like, finger cymbals. That's my number one starter instrument because it does sort of look like gold coins, right? Okay. And then I say, oh my gosh, guess what else he had? He had this tambourine. Can you believe? Why do you think he had a tambourine? Of all things. I mean, what do you think the leprechaun wanted on this tambourine? And they're like, oh, Mr. Round, silver coins. I was like, oh, the jingles, you're right. They do sort of look like coins, don't they? They look like they're silver. Yeah. Okay, so that's probably why the leprechaun would want. You know, when we play the tambourine in kindergarten, you know, if we're gonna give it a nice like fun tap, we would go here on the edge and go like, you could do that, or you could do, or what? How else could you do it? You could maybe shake it, or how else could you do like, ooh, you run like your fingers around the edge. How else could we play it? And we explore. We take some time with that. Let's see, what else did he have in his bag? Oh my goodness, look what I found. This square. Mr. Brown, it's not a square. Oh, right, oval. Mr. Brown, that's not what it is. Oh, right, this rectangle. Mr. Brown, no, it's a triangle. Like, I love doing that because then it cements in what is the name of the instrument. Oh, it's named after the shape. But, oh, Mr. Brown can't remember the shape. But it's hilarious because then they remember it, right? Okay, so the triangle, and why would he take the triangle? Well, it looks like a metal bar. Looks like silver bar. Okay, so we talked about that, how to play that. Then we have Sleigh Bells, because again, metal. And my favorite one, and this takes them a little bit. I have this really old weird cowbell, and it's sort of a silver shimmery bronze color. And so I say, yeah, there's this other color of metal that people think is really fun, and sort of a brassy bronze color. And oh my gosh, how good! Ooh, listen to that sound. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Oh, how nice. Yeah. And so we talk and we play. Anyway, so what happens with the thing is that Seamus, Cedric, Daniel, Patrick O'Blarneystone, the leprechaun, keeps interrupting. And he keeps, I'm trying to talk to the kids about what he was taking, and I keep getting more and more angry with him. And then I say to the students, did you notice? Because every time I get angry with him, I'm like, look, Gerald, you need to make sure that you... And then, the leprechaun bursts out, don't call me Gerald, call me by my real name. Seamus, Cedric, Daniel, Patrick O'Blarneystone, call me by my real name. So we joke about that, and then we talk about how, he's angry because we're not using his real name. I know. I have a song we could do, and the song goes, I caught a leprechaun, he was very sneaky. I caught a leprechaun, and now I call him Brent. And we call him by a different name, right? And then he gets so angry. Don't call me Brent, call me by my real name. Okay, listen, what else could we call him? What else could we call him, kids? Julia, perfect. Okay. I caught a leprechaun, he was very sneaky. I caught a leprechaun, and now I call him Julia. And we point to the leprechaun every time. And the fun thing is that then the kids slowly learn the song. We do these silly little actions, leprechaun or leprechaun, whatever you want to do. But leprechaun's an important word. And then he was very sneaky. I caught a leprechaun, and now I call him. And the kids love coming up with names or using their parents' names or using their names or whatever for what can we call the leprechaun. But we can't call him Seamus, Cedric, Daniel, Patrick, or O'Blarneystone because those are his actual names, right? So we have to come up with other names. They love doing that. So what it ends up being is we learn the actions, we sing the song a bunch of times, the leprechaun gets real mad, and then I say, what if we use the instruments he was gonna steal in our song? What if we use the instruments, and the kids love that, what if we were gonna use the instruments that he was about to steal on the word leprechaun? What do you think he would do? Oh, he'd be really mad. Oh, he'd be so upset. Let's try it. And so they get real jazzed about that. So then we've already talked about how you hold them, how you play them, all these metallic instruments. He doesn't have a single wood instrument in there or shaker instrument. They're all somehow related to metal because that's what he's trying to steal is gold and silver and bronze, right? So then they've also learned the actions. I caught a leprechaun. He was very sneaky. I caught a leprechaun. If you do some sort of action like wiping your hands or, patting your knees on leprechaun, then they already have, in their head that their hands are going to move on leprechaun. So then when you give them an instrument, I caught a leprechaun, he was very sneaky. That's really loud. I caught a leprechaun, and now I call him, I don't know, Annabelle, whatever name the kids want to do. So it's fun because then you can have the instrument, you can pass it around, you can move through. Kids can try lots of different instruments. So like I said, I have the triangle, I have my tambourine, I have finger cymbals. If you had one of those bell tree things, or if you had a wind chime, or if you had big cymbals, anything metallic that you want to pull out and use, it gives you a chance to talk about the difference between metals and woods and shakers and scrapers if you want. It gives kids a chance to play while you're singing. It gives kids a chance to come up with new names and new variations on the song. And it's a fun way to tie in this book, How to Trap a Leprechaun, because they weren't able to trap one, but we were. You could even make the leprechaun trap and have that be what traps your leprechaun if you really wanted. So lots of things that you can do. But like I said, that's why I'm sharing it now in February, because if you want to get the book and use it as a preview, that's something you should order get from the library now. And like I said, it's only $9 on Amazon for a hardcover book, which is crazy. And you should start rounding up instruments now. There are even times when I do this lesson where I will call the neighboring school and be like, hey, can I borrow your finger cymbals for a week? Or if I don't have enough of something, I could say like, hey, do you have any like, I don't know, can I borrow your glockenspiels? Or I try and pull together all those instruments that I think are going to be really good and match. And then also, if you want to, like I said, I have on my whiteboard, which is magnetic, I have like a leprechaun cutout from Dollar Tree and just some shiny garland from Dollar Tree, green shiny garland. And you could even use like colorful tape or whatever you want to sort of secure the leprechaun in place. But that's stuff that you want to get and think about now so you can use it in your lessons later in the month. And so much is happening in March that like, plan ahead now. Okay, so we talked about bulletin boards. We talked about this new book and the leprechaun lesson. And I did a whole blog post about I Caught a Leprechaun, including sheet music for that little song that I sang. So if you want, that's linked on the links page, and you can just get all of that on my blog. And the song is free, so you can just take it if you want and use it if you want. I think it's based on Rattling Bog, the tune for that. But anyway, so fun little song, but that's something you're going to want to think about now before we get to that. Okay, let me quick just recap on one of my lessons when I pull out lessons. So my first grade concert is coming up. It's about the zoo. I found a song in Music K called Groovy Zoovy. And that's going to be our pull together song. Unless there's something better in making music or share the music I think I have access to. If you know a great zoo song that you're like, oh my gosh, you got to use that, let me know. Because in the next week or so, I'm pulling together all of our things and really pulling out the zoo elements so kids really feel and see that. I have about 3.5 weeks until the concert. So not a ton of time, but enough time to pull that together. So all along, all semester since the beginning of January, I've been teaching animal songs to children and to my first graders. They don't know that there's a concert coming up. I'm not explicit about it in class until we hit about 3 weeks to go, because we just had a week off break, and so I don't want, and before that was a kindergarten program, so I don't want them to get too confused about when is our concert. So I've been teaching all the songs that are all basically along the theme. They just don't know that until now when we sort of pull it all together, send the note home, get them really excited. So we have like 3 weeks of excitement, and then we're into it and we're done. So the songs that we've done, they're all sort of animal themed, zoo themed. There's a song about an elephant. One elephant went out to play on a spider web one day, and we have a little song and game that goes with that. And my plan for each of these songs is it's basically I'm just going to share what we do in class with their parents and the audience. And I have 10 sections of first grade, which is crazy. And we have about 5 or 6 songs, maybe 7 songs if I count them up, all the ones that we're going to hope to do, all of them. And so what I do for each song is, even if it's just like a very simple, easy little game or something that we do in class, like One Elephant Went Out to Play is a circle song that just adds in more kids every time. What I'm going to have them do is I'm going to pull 2 of those 10 classes forward and in the gym, because we have to have it in the gym, and they're going to be the ones doing the activity while all the rest sing or maybe do little actions. But for that song, 2 of the 10 are going to be the featured class. And then for the next song, 2 more are going to be the featured. And for the next song, 2 more are going to be featured. So the nice thing about that is I don't have to change too much about my repertoire. Like I'm still teaching the things I would be teaching at this time of year, the same concepts and ideas. But it's just along that zoo theme. And then each parent who comes is like, my kid got to come to the front and be the featured kid for at least one song, right? And that also means they can like get a nice picture of their kid, right? And so when I just rotate in classes like that to the featured spot, they feel real special. They get to do it one thing, but then also there's not a lot of pressure on them because it's just their one song. It's what they've already done in class. So that's sort of how I'm structuring the program. But they're all these animal songs. So in this week's lesson, we do One Elephant Went Out to Play. We practice that. All the classes, regardless of whether they're the feature class or not, they all learn it. So we rehash that in this lesson. Then we do that song that I shared about before a couple weeks ago, from Lynn Kleiner's book. I think it's called Jungle Beats, I think. And it's oh, we're going to the jungle today. Oh yeah, Oh, we're going to the jungle today. Oh, yeah. And the fun thing about this is there's a song part and there's like a response with a whisper, like a stage whisper. And so what I'm going to have is, in the gym, we have the classes sitting in their class, and they're sort of offset, so it's easy to move them around. So I'm going to have the back row of classes do the singing, and the front row of the class is going to do a little whisper. And Lynn has in her lesson a part where the kids move to the steady beat or do animal movements to the steady beat, and so the featured classes are going to be moving. The other classes are going to be singing or whispering back, and then in between each verse or each chorus, the singing chorus is a little spoken verse. So we'll have the featured class moving, the back row singing, the front row doing the stage whisper, and then they'll all stop and do the poem. I hope that makes sense. So it goes, oh, we're going to the jungle today. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're going to the jungle today. Oh, yeah. Keep the beat in your feet. We're in for a treat. Oh, yeah. In the jungle today. Oh, yeah. So good. In the jungle today. Oh, yeah. So good. In the jungle today. Yeah. So that's the quick, simple chorus. And then it goes, the first poem is the snakes in the trees are hidden away. The monkeys are out 'cause they wanna play. The birds are flapping, let's play too. They make such noise, coo, 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 coo. And then we sing again. And then there's a second spoken verse. And then we sing again. And then we might add some animal movements and things. And then we sing and finish. And this is something we've done for the last couple of weeks. I've sort of just slowly taught them the process in layers. But now we're at the point where like they can do it seamlessly. I don't have to sing along. I don't have to remind them. They just know it all. But it's something that I just sort of layered in piece by piece by piece. And now we're at the point where like chorus, 3 verses, we're ready to go. And once we introduce the element of it's going to be on stage, then they'll get it really well. We also did a song the last several weeks called Hump the Cow. So wake up, you sleepyheads, and go and hunt the cattle. Wake up, you sleepyheads, and go and hunt the cows, or go and find the cows. And I taught them that about, the cows. Oh no, the cows got out. We made it a cowboy, cowgirl, cowpoke song, right? But I said, what if they sang that somewhere else? In fact, I know they sing that song somewhere else. I just heard that they sing it here. And I click a thing and show them a picture of the Atlanta Zoo. And I say, I heard they're doing it at the zoo. But they don't sing about cows because they don't really have cows at the zoo. But what do they have at the zoo? And so in this lesson, I go to the whiteboard and I brainstorm 5 different animals and I let the kids come up. What do they have at the zoo? Oh, elephants, sure. What else do they have at the zoo? And I ask for kid answers. Oh, lions. Yeah, they have those. Let's see, what else? And so we come up with 5. And the process is, if you're one of the sleepyhead cowpokes who wasn't going to get the cattle, you fall asleep, and I sing to them, and then they wake up. I've shared about this in a previous lesson, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. But the fun part is now they're going to take on ownership, and when we transfer it to the zoo theme, it sort of changes the dynamic. So for the first verse, I do it where I'm head zookeeper, and I'm sitting there with my dulcimer, and I'm playing and I'm singing. And I sing, wake up, you sleepyheads, and go and find the lions. Wake up, you sleepyheads, and go and find the lions. And they wake up and they're like, ah, and then they know that they sing their part, which goes, the lions are lost. The sun is warm. I think I'll wait till they come home. They learned this process when it was all just about cows. The cows are lost. The sun is warm. There's a little movement they get to do with it that I shared about before. But now we're just changing the setting. The lions are lost. The sun is warm. And they lay back down. So then they're good for that. They're like, all right, perfect. We will follow this. We'll do it with all the rest of the animals. We understand. We get it. Because they know the process already. So then I change it up a little bit more. And instead of just me being head zookeeper, I cut the class down the middle. And I have half of the class stand up and be like, these junior zookeepers have fallen asleep. Ooh, I need your help to get them to wake up. Because you brainstorm monkeys. The monkeys are out and we got to get this. Can you sing that part with me? And since we've done it so many weeks in a row and they know the process already, yeah, they can sing it very easy. So we changed the words. Wake up, you sleepyheads, and go and hunt the monkeys. Wake up, you sleepyheads, and go and find the monkeys. And the junior zookeepers wake up. Oh, what? Monkeys are out? Oh, the monkeys are lost. The sun is warm. I think I'll wait till they come home, and then they go to sleep. Senior zookeepers, can you believe what they... They are no help at all. And guess what? You also said... you brainstormed. The llamas. The llamas got out too. Oh, can you sing that with me? So they sing. And we do... I do 2 with one half the class, and then I switch them. And the sleepers wake up, and they're the head zookeepers, and the people who are awake, they go to sleep. So we get to switch jobs. And what my plan is for the concert, I'll have one class be head zookeepers, and the other class be junior zookeepers, and they'll get to do that. And then they'll get to switch in the concert. And it'll be just a fun chance for parents to see that sort of call and response with song and with action. And the kids in the back who are like not the featured class, they'll get to join sides and sing anyway. And so it'll be just fun for the parents to see that happening and see like half the gym against half the gym, and also see the story playing out in front of them. But like I said, this was a song we've been doing for weeks with like me against students, and now I've just changed the setting, so now it's half the class against half the class, and now it's in a zoo. All I had to do was just change the setting and a little bit of the roles in the song, and it's gonna look like a really cool, like, ooh, that took a long time to prepare, when really it's just a shift of the dynamic of the song. So you can take really fun, simple songs like this and just make slight little alterations, and it looks really cool for parents. Other songs that are in this show, there's a song from the aquarium at the zoo, Fish, Fish, Little Fish, which I taught them last year. We sing about Matilda the gorilla. And there are a couple of verses for that, and they get to say, they'll always all sing on the chorus, and I'll teach a different verse to different sections, different homerooms. So each one will get like their special verse, and we'll sing that, Matilda the gorilla. There's Groovy Zoovy, unless you can tell me a really much better option than Groovy Zoovy, but that's one we're going to try it for. And then there's one, another one where half the homerooms will learn Sylvester the Snake. I think that's the one I have down. That's in my next set of lesson plans. I got a couple days to figure that out. Sylvester the Snake, and then the other half will learn a song about a lion, I think. But so there are like different parts of the zoo represented, and they'll get to do different things. But like I said, if you break it up like this, then you can just teach the songs that you're normally going to teach, change one little thing, or just change the setting, or change an animal, and the kids can just take that song they already know and reorient it a little bit, and it'll all fit the theme. So a lot of the songs are not really jungle songs. It's just a fish song that we know. Or it's a cowpoke song, but we made it about a zoo. And it just takes those slight little changes. I used to do this thing where I would like block out like 8 weeks, and all we did was learn these circus songs, and we talked about them as like, oh, it's for the concert, it's for the concert. And I was like, it stressed me out, and they didn't learn it as well. And so now that I just take these songs that I teach, as part of their normal lessons that I teach for games, like with games, and I teach in the normal way, they know the song so much better, and all I have to do is just change a few little things, and they have it. So those are the things that are coming up for this zoo concert. The costumes are going to be really easy because every kid gets to dress up as whatever animal they want. And so a lot of kids already, or if they have a shirt with an animal on it, they can wear that. So it gives parents an option whether they want the kid to dress up like an animal. It's really easy for parents to like do face paint if they want, or you can get clothes that like have hoods with animal ears on them, or a lot of girls have the headbands with animal ears on them. Animals are really pretty easy for parents to source. Maybe they went as an animal for Halloween. Or like I said, I always have the option of, if you want to wear a shirt with an animal picture on it, that's fine too. Almost every kid has something that would work. And kids come in, they're like, I don't have anything with an animal. And I was like, your shirt right now has a lion on it. Oh, yeah, okay. So, or they can just wear bright colors. But I give them those options so the parent doesn't feel like, oh, I got to go to the store and buy an animal costume. Like, no, you could do that, or you could make ears, or you could just wear a shirt, or whatever your level of commitment is, you can do that, and that's fine with me. So I give parents those options for the concert costume. I'm still dreaming up the back wall of the gym. I never go like too crazy or too wild because it's only up for like 3 hours, and I can't invest that much money in the gym because I would only have about an hour to put it up, and then it'd be up for 2 hours, and it would have to come down. And so I don't go crazy on backdrops and things for our gym. And my art teacher loves me for that because I'm not hauling her to do that. If I had a different setting where I was on a stage or where we're going to do it again for the school, that might be different. But I'm thinking about simple, easy ways that we can dress up the back of the stage. And I have ideas about circus backdrop, but I'm still figuring that out. So that's coming up. But that all ties into these first grade lesson plans, which are happening right now this week. And their note is going to go home on Thursday to remind parents that concert's coming up. Remember the concert? And so then it'll really be like rushed to the finish because then the kids will start asking about the concert. Once that note goes home, it's like time is happening. Or it's happening. It's time. Okay. Quick recap before I gotta let you go. So I talked at the beginning of the video about a couple decor things that I'm planning for March. One was that like explosion doorway thing that you can do where you have, well, let me get him out of it, where you can have the different things around the door. I shared about that, and I have a link to that on the links page if you're interested. And I included my Bitmoji on the door because it's just fun. You don't have to do that, but why not? If you can, it's fun. And with the Bitmoji, if you use an iPhone, you can go to the Bitmoji app and then just send it to yourself. And then that's how I got this off. I didn't do a screenshot. I like went in and hit like send, or through a message or through email or whatever. I sent it to myself. I actually airdropped it, but you could do whatever you want. And then I talked about the bulletin board that is Women of the Week. You could do Women of the Month if you want to, but all different women, female artists, composers, conductors, all of these different profiles that'll be going up for the month of March. There are different sets for every week. And I actually think on that TPT, Teachers Pay Teachers site, I think I actually have broken down which ones I do in each week, so you're not trying to divide yourself if you don't want. But I think I have a list on there of like which profiles I do every week, so you can have like 4 pretty clean sets. And then I talked about the Leprechaun / Luck set that I do in the month of March with the interactive feature from kids writing about I'm lucky to have music in my life because that you can do if you want. And then we talked about this book, How to Trap a Leprechaun, written by Sue Fleiss, illustrated by Emma Randall, and the lesson I Caught a Leprechaun that goes with it. And then talked about my first grade lessons. That's what we ran through. If you missed the first half, you can go back and watch it. I'm going to post this video on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can watch it again if you want, and it'll come out in the podcast tomorrow. If you have any questions about anything, please leave questions and I'll try and answer them the best I can. I didn't see any pop up today on the live feed, but sometimes Facebook just doesn't show that to me. I don't know why. But you can always leave questions or send me an email, makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. And that's it. I felt like there's something else I was supposed to say. My follow-up. Oh, yeah, the links page. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, it should be on the links page, including a link to the blog post about I Caught a Leprechaun and the books and the bulletin boards. All that stuff's on the links page. And you can get that on the bottom of the caption of this video or on my LinkedIn profile. Okay, thanks so much for spending your night with me and talking about music ed. I hope this gives you some ideas for March and just for going forward. And I hope you have a great week with your kids. Thanks for everyone for tuning in tonight. Bye, everyone.